So, when we talk about longevity and our cellular energy, the whole conversation usually goes down one simple path: just add more of what we're losing. But what if that's completely the wrong way to look at it? Today, we're asking a totally different question. When it comes to our body's critical fuel, NAD, are you fixing the leak, or are you just pouring more fuel into a tank that has a hole in it? You know that feeling, right? That little dip in how fast you recover, or that mental fog that just kind of rolls in the afternoon. It's like our body's own check engine light starts to flicker as we get older. We're not broken or anything, but that high performance machine we're used to, well, it just doesn't seem to be running quite as smoothly anymore. And right at the very heart of all this is a tiny hero molecule, NAD. I want you to think of it like the currency of your cells. It's the essential middleman that takes the energy from the food you eat and turns it into the actual power for, well, everything, from your brain firing to your heart beating. It is absolutely critical for life. And here's the catch. Here's the core problem we're all facing. As we get older, our levels of this crucial coenzyme just naturally drop. This isn't some disease, It's a fundamental part of the aging process. Our cellular machinery just gets a little less efficient over time. So in this explainer, here's our game plan. We're going to break down this cellular energy crisis, take a hard look at the common but flawed precursor predicament, understand the real problem of the leaky bucket, and then explore how to engineer a much better system. We'll also talk about a realistic 90-day timeline for results and help you figure out which path really defines you. All right, first up, the cellular energy crisis. Now, this isn't some sudden dramatic event. It's the slow, quiet, gradual erosion of our biological capacity. And that's the very thing we feel when that check engine light starts to flicker. Which, of course, leads us right to how the market responded to this problem: the precursor predicament. Faced with declining NAD+, the industry came up with a really simple solution. But as we're about to see, it's a potentially very flawed one. Now look, the logic seems incredibly sound on the surface. If your NAD+ levels are dropping, why not just pour in more of the raw materials to make it? This is what led to the absolute explosion of supplements called precursors, like NMN and NR. They're basically the building blocks your body uses to make NAD+. Simple enough, right? And this slide, wow, it just lays out the core issue perfectly. The simple logic is, hey, if you're running out of fuel, just add more fuel. But the biological reality is that our body isn't a simple gas tank. It's a highly complex, incredibly adaptive engine, and that engine can spring a leak. And that brings us to the heart of the matter: plugging the leaky bucket. It's time to uncover the real reason we're losing all that precious NAD+ in the first place. Okay, so let's meet the main villain in this part of our story, an enzyme called CD38. As we age, CD38 gets overactive, and it is a voracious consumer of NAD+. I mean, it literally just chews through your cellular energy reserves, often ramping up in response to things like inflammation and cellular stress. And this is where that whole leaky bucket idea just clicks into place. Trying to make more NAD+ by taking precursors while your CD38 enzyme is running wild is exactly like pouring water into a bucket with a giant hole on the bottom. Yeah, you might raise the water level for a split second, but you're fighting a totally losing battle against the drain. So the bottom line is that this precursor-only approach has some very real limitations. You're in a constant fight against that CD38 drain, which means any boost in NAD+ you get is often just temporary. Plus, forcing your body to process super high doses of these raw materials can put a strain on other systems and even deplete other vital resources your body needs for countless other jobs. So this all brings us to a much more elegant idea. Section 4, engineering a better system. This is all about shifting from a brute force approach to one that's all about biological efficiency. Instead of just jamming more and more raw material into the system and hoping for the best, a multi-pathway solution looks at the entire NAD+ ecosystem. It's not just about the input, it's about how that input is produced, how it's used, and how it's conserved. It's about making the whole engine run better. So this systems engineering approach really breaks down into 3 clear steps. First, use support production by enhancing your body's own natural recycling system, its salvage pathway, to get the most out of the NAD+ you already have. Second, you minimize waste. You help manage the activity of that NAD guzzling CD38 enzyme. In other words, you plug the leak. And third,
You activate key longevity genes, these amazing proteins called sirtuins, which are like the guardians of our cellular health.
Okay, but, and this is a really big but, this kind of deep cellular work is not an overnight fix. And that brings us to Section 5, the 90-day horizon. You've got to understand that cellular optimization is a marathon, not a sprint.
Let's be super clear here, and the source material just says it perfectly. This is not caffeine. You are not going to feel a sudden rush in 20 minutes. If that's what you want, an espresso is a much cheaper and way more effective solution. This is about long-term structural support for your cells.
So what does that journey actually look like? Well, in the first 30 days or so, you're in what's called a loading phase. You're just replenishing all those reserves deep beneath the surface. Then from days 30 to 60, you hit the saturation phase. This is where benefits like maybe better recovery might start to become more tangible. And by days 60 to 90, you're in the maintenance phase, where this new level of cellular efficiency starts to become your new normal, your new baseline.
All right, finally, let's make this personal. Let's bring it all home. Section 6, which path defines you? Because look, while the biology is the same for all of us, our reasons for wanting to support it can be very, very different.
So which one are you? Take a look. Are you the informed optimizer? Maybe between 40 and 55, totally performance-driven, you track all your metrics, and you're fighting to maintain that professional edge. Or maybe you're the future-proofing achiever, say 45 to 65. You're the pillar of your family, and you value resilience and independence above everything else. Your why really shapes your strategy. But you know what? Whichever path you're on, the core takeaway is exactly the same. The most effective, the most intelligent strategy isn't just to add more fuel. It's to support and upgrade the entire system that produces, manages, and uses that energy with maximum efficiency.
Which really leaves us with one last question to chew on. As you think about your own approach to your health and your longevity, the question isn't just about what you're putting into your body, it's about the system you're building. So, are you just going to keep refilling the tank, or are you ready to upgrade the entire engine?